Hello everyone, welcome. It's Isabel here from Blue Sapphire. I hope you're all doing better than I am. We have a slight COVID chaos in my household at the moment, but I am taking the opportunity of having people isolating in other rooms to use the peace and quiet to finally record this video. This is a VR response to Katey Flowers, and the hashtag is only 10 decks. There's quite a lot of these videos already online, and I would highly recommend having a look at them. They're great fun. It's really interesting. The concept is to just choose 10 decks out of your collection that you take with you or keep if you had only space for 10. And it's a really interesting challenge because it's one that you can approach in a wide range of ways. So I've watched people who've kind of gone, right, well, I need one from each system, or I need my first deck, or I need decks. And so what's really lovely is the different ways you can approach it and you can think about it. For me, I realized that when I first started doing this, I think a few decks, the first sort of 6 I wrote down instantly, and those haven't changed. And then I was trying to think about the other 4, and what I realized is that I wasn't sure. I wasn't really sure what I saw as being the decks I would keep. And it's because I've not really had that much opportunity to explore some of the decks I've got. I'm still not totally au fait with the in-depth feeling of what the energy is or what their purpose they serve, as I'm fairly young in this journey, so to speak. I then found that what has been happening recently with me and my tarot and oracle journey, or my spiritual journey in this sense, is that I've actually sort of been becoming more discerning and realizing what works and what doesn't work for me. So for example, I've put aside a few decks that I'm going to sell or give away, get rid of, because they're just not serving me. And I'm beginning to sort of, when I'm looking at decks and when I'm watching people online, I'm really thinking about, why would I want the deck, or what purpose is it going to serve, or what time of year? So what I realized was that if you'd asked me this 6 months ago, I had far fewer decks, so I would have probably just picked 10 that I had. Then obviously, as I started doing this, as I say, 6 came really quickly, and then the next few kept changing as these other decks came in. So there are a couple of decks I've got recently that I think have the potential to come onto this list in place of others as I use my decks more over the next year and I really get a feel for them. So I'm going to be intrigued to see. I'm kind of probably going to be going, actually, I'm going to do this again in a year's time, because I think it'll be really interesting to see how my journey's moved and whether any of these have changed, which ones are still at the top of the list. Anyway, so this is my VR to Katey Flowers, hashtag only 10 decks, as of the 21st of November 2021. So the first deck that instantly sprang to mind is the Everyday Witch Tarot. Now I've pulled out my full-size version and my mini, because this technically is one deck. Okay, so I'm not cheating. This is the same deck, just in 2 sizes, and I would probably take the large size, but I'm just getting the mini out because this was the second deck I bought. I had bought my first Hare deck and I was enjoying it, and I thought, oh, I'd really like some other portraits, some other ideas. So I'd picked this up in an order I was doing in a local bookstore and instantly fell in love with it. I just felt like the pictures, the images were really cool. This is one of my favorites, is this moon picture actually here. So I picked the mini up, but then I was like, I want to know more about this. I want to be able to see the images in more detail. So that led to me buying the full size. So that's why I got the mini out. And so this deck always works for me. This deck is a deck that it doesn't matter, you know, if I've not used it for a while. Let me zoom in a little bit. It speaks. Oh, camera on bouncy arm. Sorry, everybody. Whenever I do use it, whenever I do get it out, I kind of, it speaks to me, or it works for me. So it's a deck that I do think I'd take because I really enjoy getting it out. I had it out recently for just before Halloween, and I actually paired it with the Everyday Witch Oracle, and I really enjoyed it. I think what's so lovely about tarot decks is, like, I've never pulled, for example, I've never pulled that card in this deck. And so sometimes, you know, doing these tags, you suddenly find, aside from the fact that it's all of a mess and upside down, you know, just, it's really cool. It doesn't stop, it doesn't scrimp on the challenging cards. The cards are still there. It has sort of male and female and androgynous in the sense that you can't tell. And I like that about it. Unfortunately, the majority of the witches are of a certain shape and size, but we'll forgive them for that. I hope this isn't too blurry. I'm kind of very aware that it might. You know, so I really like the pictures. I love this balance here. Temperance, can you see her one eye open, one eye closed? And at the time I got this deck, I was still doing quite a lot of yoga, and I think that spoke to me. So that's my first one. I hope you can see it okay, and I hope the images are coming out all right. The Everyday Witch Tarot. So that is one which I would keep in my collection. It would come out, I take it. I really like the guidebook as well. For me, it's a lovely book, so taking this deck would give me a really nice resource as well. I love the way that the guidebook, she has like little kind of little affirmations, little descriptions that work really well kind of with other decks as well. So by taking this deck as it is, it gives me actually a really nice resource for working and journaling. So not only is the deck good, but I like the book as well. So then from the Everyday Witch, we move on to the first oracle that I wrote down. So I think these are kind of split fairly evenly between oracle and tarot actually. And this is my one of, or maybe my top oracle, and that's the Mists of Avalon oracle. So this oracle I absolutely love. I love kind of the whole feeling of sort of imagery of kind of Celtic and of ancient Britain that this holds. I'm really passionate about things like, I love going to stone circles. I love Glastonbury. I've only been two very short visits, and I'm determined to go back and spend longer there. And I really love this deck. Whenever I've pulled a card from it, it's really spoken to me. It's been just totally like on ball. It's got these keywords as well, and I quite like the keywords. I think they're quite nice keywords, and I think they're quite subtle as well. So for me, when I look, I'm drawn to the image. I know some people don't like keywords, but the keywords come second to me. They don't dominate. And I think if you've got a deck with keywords, that's what's important to me, is that they don't take over, that they're there, they're subtle. And I really like this. I really like the way it's drawn. I actually got the artist Nadia Turner. She has done a mini deck, which a lot of people have got, I know, and it's called Forest Fae. I just say, I love this card. Sacred Union, isn't that gorgeous? And if you put that against a lover's card, and the feeling of how a lover's card, and it's the sort of Fae element as well. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so Nadia Turner's also done a very little oracle called Forest Fae, which is really sweet if you want a little pocket one. But yeah, so this probably would be my top oracle. I really love it. And I try, what's funny is I try not to reach for it all the time. It's one of those that, you know, I could just draw from this all the time. So I'm trying to kind of spread it around a bit to get a different energy. So yes, I love this. It's going to have to come out again at some point, I think. Yeah, so Mists of Avalon oracle. Again, Rose and Sarah, who wrote the book and did whose oracle it is. It's a really lovely book, and again, I really like the little phrases. They're really great for journaling. So you've got the Holy Grail: life force, spirit, wisdom, regeneration. Be a beacon of light by walking the path. Shine bright with your magical soul light for all to see, feel, know, and grow. There's a message. I love there's I trust my intuition. There's an affirmation and stuff as well. So again, you've got an oracle that's a lovely resource for journaling, for feeling. I also think in this deck, for me, I think the keywords work really well. It's a really nice deck. It's a Rockpool Publishing one. Yeah, I don't have, the only thing I would say is that it's getting a bit scuffed, but you know, that shows a well-used deck. So that is my oracle next, number 2 that I've got. These are not really in any particular order, so to speak, but I think the way I wrote them down and going through the list, you'll find that these few are the ones that came instantly to me. And the next one is another oracle. As I say, I think we're looking at a fairly even split between oracle and tarot. In fact, we are. I think I've got 5 of each, just counting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've lost one. How have I lost one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. We'll work it out. Oh, yes. No, I think I've got one more tarot than oracle. Stop waffling, woman. Apologies, I'm on Waffle Central. So this is the Through the Eyes of the Soul by Cheryl Yambrack Rose. This is by Blue Angel Publishing. It comes in a beautiful 2-piece box. I got this in the summer. Again, it channels my Glastonbury Celtic energy, really. I'd watched a lot of people who'd been to Glastonbury. I saw this on a couple of other channels. I think it was Candy Soul and Soil and Hazel Jane Tarot have both got this deck, and I was just drawn to it, and I really love it. To me, this is a gorgeous cardstock. It's a lovely smooth kind of matte cardstock. It's kind of one of my favorites, and I love the pictures. I managed to pick up the book that goes along with it. So she wrote a book, and it talks about how she created the paintings and the background behind them. And actually, I have to admit that recently I've bought her art through the Starstream Oracle. Unfortunately, that's not the same style as this. I'm hopeful that she might get it reproduced, republished in the same format, because this is beautiful. So again, you've got these magnificent pictures. These are drawn. She actually paints them. She starts with the eyes. I just love it. And again, I love the again, you've got a keyword or a title that's quite it's significant, but at the same time it's, you know, small enough to not be intrusive. The backs are beautiful. Again, this is a deck that when I do get it out, it shouts. It does. I love it, and I love having them sat on my desk and looking at them. I love the kind of channeling of them. Yeah, I need to do more with it, I think, and how it, but I really like this deck. I really love. That's a bit challenging, that card, I think. But yeah. And I think it's really nice to read the stories. There isn't a lot in the guidebook behind the stories. I think, you know, you can read a lot more if you want to go really deep. I love this. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Lots of Arthurian stuff. Lots of, for us, I think she's used a lot of kind of British, so Irish, Welsh, English, and also some from Czech Republic kind of themed images, tales, myths and legends and that sort of thing. So kind of different characters and have come to her, and she's channeled them. Some of the cards are very similar, but they all have, that's one of my favorites when you read the story behind that card. I love this with them. I'm really into like the whole Grail thing, and I love, I run Da Vinci Code, you know, by Dan Brown, and that kind of idea of this is the DNA, this is the Rose, what is it called, the Rosalind Chapel. So yes, so that is another oracle I really love. It works well with quite a lot of decks actually, and it works well on its own. It's a beautiful, really beautiful deck. So that one would definitely have to come with me because it kind of does speak to the soul. Okay, so I'm going to run out of space in a minute. Where are we now? Well, the next are almost a pair, so let's bring them in together. So this is number 4 and number 5, and that is my pair from Anatorium, Tarot of the Abyss and Oracle of Echoes, which lives in this pouch because it was in a tuck box. It was the Oracle of Echoes I saw that I pre-ordered, and then I got this as well. I know that Tarot of Abyss is a sort of, for some it's like a love-hate relationship. I really love this. I love the fact that in some ways the black and white means that I can really focus on what the image is and what's going on and what the card is, rather than being distracted by like vibrant colours. The Oracle of Echoes is just, to me, it's just beautiful. It has some really challenging words. It also has some very challenging pictures, and and they work really neatly together, which is why I've sort of brought them out in a pair for this. So these I would certainly keep, and obviously because it's the same artist, you know, the art style, I'm really looking forward to you know, her Tower of Echoes as well. But these would come with me. They're a nice pair, they work beautifully, I think, together. There's a lot to be drawn from them. There's a lot to kind of think under. Really love this. If you're doing kind of ancestor work, spirit work, you could use that as kind of like a central significator or something, couldn't you? Or meditate on it. I'm not, you know, I'm still learning all about this. Some of the cards do hit home, but some of them, you know, and I think they're really nice. That's the alternative Three of Swords. I really like that one. A journey. Yeah, I love this tower as well. It's nice to have something a bit different. So yeah, spirit heals. And I think when I got this, you know, I've had to do a lot of processing of grief, and I pulled this card, I think, on a day when I was really struggling. And it was just that feeling that, like, for me, God was surrounding me, and I could feel if I prayed and there'd be healing, and God, Mother Nature, whatever it was, can really, whatever we believe in, can nurture us and care for us if we're feeling like that. And we just need to accept it. So yeah, so I really love these decks, and I love them as a pair, which is why I've brought them out together. So yeah, I think these are a really lovely pair, so they would definitely come with me. These are quite challenging. I think the Everyday Witch has a more light-hearted feel. Even though it can really hit home, it's a bit more light-hearted. The Through the Eyes of Soul, Mist and Avalon are really kind of really lovely. They can be hit home as well, but these are really good if I'm really wanting quite an, you know, I really want to get underneath what's going on. So these would probably be more, I suppose you could say, shadow work, but really deep diving ones, these. Coming from the light-hearted point of view again, then we've got Lightsabers Tarot. I watched people unboxing this and looking at this for ages, and I eventually decided I was going to go for it. I recently got into deck mods, and I've seen a lot of people who've, I'm waffling again, aren't I? Sorry. I've seen a lot of people who've edged this, so I might do that at some point as well. Although my edging currently doesn't go very well. It tends to bleed a little bit, so I'm only, where are we? Oh, line up on the camera, woman. So yeah, so we've got our Light Seers. I love this deck. I know a lot of people do. Again, it's a great one. It's if you're taking 10 decks, I think it gives me a completely different feel. It's more kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I love it. I really like this one. And again, you know, you've got a really nice book, and there's resources online as well. So if you're heading off with a few decks and a phone, I love this 10 of Cups with the rainbow like this, just sort of integrating the rainbow into the 10 of Cups rather than it being kind of separate things, and the sense of it being a hammock. And I've just, how amazing is that, how you notice things? I've just seen there's like a bass clef in here, which is quite significant to me as I play the cello. Wow, okay. Need to look at that. You see, this is the thing, isn't it, with these? Like, I can do a card pull a day. I may never pull that card, or I can flick through and go, oh yeah, that's pretty. And then I do this, and suddenly I go, oh look, there's this. I need to spend a bit more time with some of these. What I really love, I love the Lovers. This is really beautiful because I think it's kind of like, it just shows the union, and it shows that it could be a friendship. I know they're supposedly naked, it looks like a male and a female, you don't know, but it could just be that protection as well, couldn't it? It could just be somebody who's protecting you. And the Eight of Swords, look, you've got that contrast, you've got the, you know, how you see yourself as opposed to, sorry, I'm waffling. So I really love the Lightseers. I need to look at that card, and I need to challenge myself. I think one of the things I don't do is I don't really spend enough time exploring the meaning. I'm putting that on the top, and I'm going to look at that after I finish this video. Ta-di-da-di-da. Right, so where are we up to? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, we're doing well. Now, what should we go for next? This is a weird one. This is one which I have to admit I haven't worked with much yet. Now, that sounds strange because a lot of people have got decks which they work with and they're passionate about. And because this is not, you know, a long journey we're talking about, this deck came into my collection in the summer. I backed it. It was actually on Indiegogo, not Kickstarter, and it's the Healing Waves Tarot. I have chosen to, I was intending, anyone who's seen my other videos know that I said I was intending on working with this in the summer when we were on holiday, and it came in late and I didn't get to do that. And by the time it came in, it felt like the wrong energy. So I haven't worked with it very much because I really felt like wanting those more kind of wintry decks. This speaks to me of my holidays in summer, but this would have to come with me because this deck is a memory. This deck is my kind of a reflection of some of my happy memories of being particularly with my husband on holiday. So it kind of going away, quite often going near the sea, it really, that helps me. It helps me kind of try to wind down. And there's lots of really cool memories. So for example, one year before we had the kids, we went to Spain. We went on a boat whale watching off the south coast of Spain. You know, so this not only, look at that, how wise is that manatee? Like the Lover's card, like seahorses, the male and the female, they like share responsibility, and the male does a different role. Oh, it's just so cute. It's cute, but also hitting, you know? It's like, I just think it's, and look at that. I really love that. You can see, like, well, the shark could be really dangerous. I'm kind of flicking through the entire deck. So this is one of the few decks that's in order because I haven't used it. Look at that Hermit. I think that sold it. I always look at the Hermit card. That's my birth card. And it's really important to me that I can... The Hermit card, if I don't like the Hermit, the chances are I'm not going to go for the deck. I like that Death card a lot as well. Look, there's new life around. It's got a new life, but still it's there. So yeah, so I really love it. And I love the concepts. I love the portrayals in the deck. Look at the sun. I love the fact that it still is fairly true to the Rider Waite. There is a consistency. There is a way it's been done that reminds me. Now this one I just need to share. This is a particularly special memory, you see. When we were on honeymoon, I was really lucky that my husband had saved up and we went to Malaysia for 3 weeks. And as part of that, we did like a travelling around Borneo. And one of the places we went was to a place called Turtle Island. And there you stay one night. It's really basic. But in the evening you wait, and then you go and watch the turtles come up the beach to lay their eggs. And it's dark, but it's the most amazing thing. And they're protecting them, and they're then helping them to breed and protecting the babies and letting them go and releasing them. So you see that as well. So that, it holds a really special memory for me. And I love the fact in this that it's earth as well. It's and the consistency. So there's all kind of turtles and crabs in earth, and pearls. Oh, it's just, yeah, I really love this deck. I think it's really special. I think it's, and as I say, although I've not read properly with it, it would have to come with me because it means such a lot. And I just, even if I don't read, the pictures, they bring a sense of peace actually, and calm. So that's the Healing Waves Tarot. Apologies, I haven't said who they're all by. Nawan Jun Hasiri. There's an extra card, so it's 79. I don't know if these are available. I think they were only doing the Indiegogo run. There may be a few online. I know a few people have been selling them to get rid of them. They don't like them or whatever. But they're not going to be easy to come by. But I really love that deck. Okay, so we're nearly there. So we're going to do another... We're going to do the only other oracle I've put in. And this is weird because I actually had 2 other tarot that I crossed off because I remembered this. Now, this is the White Hare Wisdom, which is by Jackie and Phil Lovesey, who are based in the UK. And I actually was really lucky to be gifted this as a prize, basically. It's a pocket version of their White Hare Wisdom Oracle deck. And the reason that this would have to come with me is because, one of the reasons is because it has the most beautiful cards. It's really different to the other decks that I've chosen, but also it has these seasonal cards that I really love. So what I quite often do is put these out and have them out for a period of time with the season. And then it has all these really cool like cards. There's stories behind them. Yeah, I really love it. And just, yeah, that would have to come with me. This is not, this is with it, but it's actually separate. These are moon cards, so it's a separate to it. But yeah, I would take my White Hare Wisdom. I think this is quite a sweet pocket deck as well. I really love it. I love it cheers me up. So Phil and Jackie Lovesey, what they've done is they've got this like whole world of Matlock the Hare and the League of Lid Curving Witchery. So they've got like the brilliant thing is they've got this sort of they have their own like little language, and it's really cool. Ancestral Wisdom for Viscu. So yeah, and the book's really sweet as well. So it's written in the Parlour Witch, which is the language of white hares, partly derived from ancient Norse and translated to English. There you go. So I think I'd take this one with me because I think it's really sweet, and it's also really lovely because it was something I was fortunate enough to win, or to be gifted, I suppose, from them in a draw that they did. Yeah, so that one would go, I think, as well. It's one I like to reach for. It's one that I like having the pictures out. And as I say, the moon cards would probably tag along, even though technically that's not the same deck. They are kind of, they live together. So yeah. So last two. So I've lost it. Where have I put it? Oh, this one. Okay. So this is a funny one, this. So I would take as one of my decks a standard Rider-Waite based tarot deck. So I would take my Universal Waite. Now the story goes with this that earlier this year I figured that I wanted to really study, and that I wanted a proper, when I say proper, I mean one that has the original illustrations of a Rider-Waite Smith. I couldn't afford the likes of a Blushing Fool, and so I was looking around at the time for something that I would like. I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I wasn't drawn to it. It was like I felt in order to study, I needed to have it. What I've realised more lately is that's not the case. I've realised that I can learn from any deck, but at the time I'd got myself a book and I was determined that I had to do it with the Rider-Waite original illustrations. And all the others, Thoth and Marseille, are another story altogether. Anyway, so I hunted down and I chose 2 Rider-Waite decks. There was the Universal Waite, this one, and it came in the pack with the Pictorial Guide to Tarot, so I thought, oh, that'd be really useful. And then I got another one. Now, I didn't bond with either deck. Not love at all. I was frustrated by them, and I have spent several months going, I don't understand why people love these so much, because I just wasn't bonding with them. I felt like I was trying to read intuitively, and I couldn't with these decks, which is really strange. So I've just never reached for them as a deck to read with. They've always just been, those are my study decks. I have decided to ditch the other one. So the other one is a pocket, a Waite deck that I've only even opened half the cards. Not gelling with, no point being. So that one's going to get sold. But then a few weeks ago, I experimented with my first deck mod on the Druidcraft. really enjoyed the process and caught the deck mogged bug. And then a moment of genius struck me. I thought, right, well, this deck wasn't expensive. It's got one of the things that was putting me off was these hideous white borders. So these are the spare, like, title cards. I don't like these ridiculous white borders. I felt like they were intruding. I'm really, a lot of decks I prefer borderless, I've realised. I tend to shy away from anything with massive borders or intrusive borders. So I set about modding it, and what I now have is a new bond with this deck. And when people say, I know Boho Tara and others say that a way to bond with a deck is to mod it, I would totally agree. So I chopped off all the white borders, so you can see the comparison here. All the cards had this white border with the copyright. I figured that it wasn't an expensive deck, so if it went wrong it didn't matter, and it was for me. It's easily obtainable, it doesn't matter. So this Universal Waite, by the way, if you don't know, this one was the original drawings, but they were recoloured by Mary Hanson Roberts. So I chopped off the borders. I did a small corner rounding because on some of the cards the titles go really close to the corner. So if I did a bigger corner round, and also it's a slightly smaller corner round than on the original, but I quite like it. I have to admit I did it with scissors, which not everybody would recommend, but for me it was fine. I then got myself a metallic marker. So you might not be able to tell, you could, I'm not sure, but they are edged now in metallic gold. Now, I might go back over them because some of them are not picking up the colour as much as others, but I really like it. Yeah, it's not totally, but in some ways it's kind of it looks a bit antique-y now because it's, so I've edged it in the metallic gold, so that matches the back. Some of them went over, but you know, I don't actually mind because, do you know what, it doesn't matter to me. That's not important. It's not a deck that is, you know, an expensive out of print deck. There's a few smudges. When I first did it with this metallic marker, actually, I did wipe off a lot of it straight away. So that worked quite well. There's not much smudging on the front. It's mostly on the backs. Now I have a newfound love for it. And therefore, it would remain in my collection and come with me. And the reason is because I feel like I need this to ground my other decks. And when I say that, what I mean is that sometimes in order to really understand what's going on, it's really good to do a comparator with the original to see how they've changed a deck or whatever. So I think here's that Ten of Cups I was talking about with the Lightseers. So the Lightseers has the same concept, but they have it winding round, so it's really cool to see the comparison. So yeah, so strangely, this wouldn't have been top of my list a few weeks ago. This would have been bottom of my list, throw it away, get rid of. But now I think I'd take it with me to have a standard rider weight to refer back to kind of the original meanings, the original message in this deck. What's interesting is I'm really intrigued by Thoth and Marseille as well. So I'm sorry, I've waffled a lot. This is getting really long. Last deck. So, you know, I said about how this would change. Well, this deck is another one that's recently come into my collection. It only came in a few weeks ago, and so it is a surprise entrant because it has overtaken many other decks. It's actually kicked my Rider-Waite out of this pouch where it was living and taken over. And this, thanks to Kelly Bear, who in the end I had to get it, is the Tower of the Magical Forest. Oh my god, this deck, I think this is one of my new favourites, an absolute top of the pile favourite. The first few cards I pulled from this deck just shouted to me. It's not everyone's cup of tea. That, oh, look at that hermit, just look. It's just so cool. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everyone likes this deck, I know that, but you know, this deck and me, we are friends. Big star friends. How can you not love that for a strength card? It's just, I love it. So not only I think this has become one of my top decks, it's only been in my collection a couple of weeks. Look at that. I had seen it a few times. I'd heard about it. I've been thinking about it. And you know what's hilarious is there are several decks where I've discounted them because I don't like the big starey eyes. And look at those. I love it. I absolutely love this deck. And again, in a similar way to the Healing Waves, what they've done is, although they've changed up like the characters and stuff, so let me find, so in the Pentacles you have the foxes, in the Wands you have frogs, in the Cups you have bunny rabbits. Which one have I missed? Cups, Wands, frogs. Oh, and the Swords are, what are the swords? What are the swords? I can't remember what the swords are. Cats, rabbits, frogs, foxes. So they've retained, you know, look, very similar Rider-Waite imagery to the original, but with a new take on it. And so you get the same kind of feel, the same kind of sense, but it just works for me. I really love it. So yeah, so this deck is coming with me, come what may. I've just bought a Oracle deck to match up with it because the one I needed something soft and gentle with it. But that one's coming. So that is my 10, folks. Sorry, I started waffling. Tower of the Magical Forest, if I've got that right, Low Scarabeo. Universal Rider-Waite, which I've trimmed, which is the reason I'm putting in because I've really bonded with it. Healing Waves, Indiegogo. My Anatolian Oracle of Echoes, I think she's got a few left to buy now as of November the 21st, and then you have to wait till next year. And Tarot of the Abyss, which is mass market Anatolian. Running out of space, running out of space. We've got Through the Eyes of the Soul, Cheryl Yambach Rose, available. It's a Blue Angel Publishing, that's a mass market, so that's available. Lightsabers Tarot, Mists of Avalon Oracle, those are both, so Lightsabers by Chris Ann, Mists of Avalon by Rose and Sarah and Nadia Turner by Rockpool, and if I just zoom out a little bit, she says, and My Everyday Witch. There's the pile. Look guys, these are my 10 decks. I think even in a few weeks this might change. But please do join in. It's really great fun. I've learned a lot from watching other people. And I hope you've learned a little bit from watching mine. And I will catch up with you all again soon. But until then, please do take care and stay safe. Bye.